What's up, everyone? Welcome to our first installment of the Mixing Mondays sessions, where we take some of our songs and break them down to see what we did with some of the production elements. The first song that we're gonna tackle will be Please Stop, which we released in January. And a lot of you came up to me to ask about the synth solo, but everyone was surprised when they found out that actually it's a guitar solo. So what we want to do today is just go through that instrumental section and see exactly what we did to make that guitar sound like a synth. So without further ado, let's jump into the project. So we have this guitar bus here that will be our main focus, and we also have this little lead in which I'm also gonna solo, but let's just hear what we have with everything on. So all of the processing is happening, just so we hear what's happening in the actual song. Okay, so you could also hear a bit of a crackle there just because we have so much stuff running with all of the screen cap apps open. But that was the main instrumental section, and you could hear this tag at the beginning, which is literally just this bit reversed and with a bit of reverb added to it, just to lead into our instrumental section. And I'm gonna play you now what this solo sounded like without any processing on it. So just gonna turn everything off and let's have a listen. Okay, so that was completely different. And first of all, to record this guitar, we used a Line 6 Helix, and it's actually one of the patches it comes with. It's a modified patch, but the gist of it is what's found in the plugin Baby patch, so not the Muse there. And you can kind of hear it in the way it sounds. So we have three different guitars playing through that patch. So guitar 1 is playing this line, which is panned to the center of the field. So that's just literally playing one note at a time. Then we have this bus. These are panned left and right. So let's have a listen to what they sounded like just coming from the Helix. And let me just turn off the vocals just so we don't get those constant delays. And now let's switch to this second bus. And as you can see, it's similar to the first one, but the way we process it makes it so we need that additional line. And once we get into the nitty gritty of what's going on here, you'll get what I'm aiming at. So first thing we did on this line is obviously a bit of EQing, so boosting some of the body of the guitar and taking out some of that harsh 0.3K, 0.37K. Then we added this really cool plugin. It's called the Trigger Gate, and it's completely free. And it's just one of the presets that the plugin comes with, the house rhythm O2 plus an echo. So let's listen to it before and after with each of these effects. So first, and I'm actually gonna add them in one at a time. So the EQ doesn't necessarily do that much. It just literally just cleans it up a bit. Just brings everything a bit more to the front and gets rid of that mud, especially in the low end. And then this is the secret sauce, and you can already see it's working. But if I turn on the track, you'll hear what it actually does. So that's where the sound of the solo actually comes from. And you have these ADSR functions here. So you have the attack, which is extremely important for this section, just because we wanted that attack to be there, but at the same time not have that full transient that the guitar pluck originally had. We then added a shaper box, which again kind of takes some of that initial attack off, and we get a different vibe to that sound. Just makes it even more robotic. And then a good old reverb, the Valhalla Vintage Verb. Nothing too interesting happening with this one. The only thing notable is that the pre-delay is almost non-existent. There's quite a bit of sculpting in terms of an EQ, but overall, nothing out of the ordinary happens with this one. It was just something that we needed to add to give it a bit of a sense of space. So now it actually lives in a space. Moving on to the next one, which is the bus. And these have been processed, even though since these have been printed like that, it's kind of impossible now to kind of retrace the steps. It was mainly just EQ. So let's have a listen to what this one does. Again, a bit of a simple EQ, nothing too drastic, but the cut is, instead of, I think it was at 150, now it's at 371. So we're getting out of a lot of that low end and even a bit of mids. And that's mainly just so all of these fit with the main line. So we need to give it a bit of space. And to be honest, this region here was already filled by the bass. So why waste any precious spectrum to have the same frequencies fighting for dominance there. So it's similar to what happened on the first one. We have an EQ just cleaning things up. And I hope you could hear that rumble that was going on in the low end. That's something that we didn't want in the song. We didn't want that to affect the mix, so we just cut all of that out, and it just makes for a cleaner mix. So let's have a listen to that in conjunction with the gate. And then we just added, again, it's exactly the same reverb, it's just copied over just to give it the same sense of space. Okay, so let's have a listen to both of these and see what they're actually doing. So quite a different sound. But still, we felt that something was missing. And what we did here, we actually processed these individually as well, but we didn't print them. We added a Soundtoys Alter Boy on these. And let me just bring both of them up so you can see what's happening. Come on. Well, I'll bring them one at a time then. So on this one, it's literally just playing an octave above, nothing else. So it's just on the first mode, the transpose mode. Drive set to minimum because there's enough distortion on the patch. Just an octave below. This one, same thing, an octave below. So let's have a listen to that before and after. And you might be thinking, why does that sound so weird? Well, because something is missing. So we again have a similar processing to the first one. We added this sort of telephony EQ to the mix. Goes back to that trigger gate, same preset. Back to this shaper box, and then again the same reverb. And it helps with making this more bizarre bit tie in with the rest of the solo section, but at the same time just bring something a bit different, so that weirdness in the context of this mix is actually useful. So let's have a listen to that again before and after with the whole thing. And obviously the rhythm is a bit funky now just because of the way the trigger gate triggers based on where you actually start the plugin. And just as a final piece of processing that we did on this one, we added the trigger gate once again. And this is literally just the default preset, and we just tweaked the attack, just added that effect back in, the attack back in. And the mix is just below 12 o'clock. And again, the shaper box is back in action. And as you'll hear, we added that to take off anything that was left from that initial transient. So in this way, you lost that initial sound of the guitar and just made it sound more like a lead, like a synth instrument. So let's listen to everything again with all of the processing engaged. Okay, so that's what we did on Please Stop to make a more interesting instrumental section, and instead of just having a plain guitar solo, having it processed in a way that made the whole thing sound more interesting and made people believe that it's even a different instrument. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. We're gonna make more. We're gonna explore some of the other tricks that we did on our songs, and maybe even cover some songs that we have in the pipeline. So stay tuned, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this. If you got any value from it, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you stay tuned so you get updates on our future releases. We have a new song coming out quite soon, but in the meantime, don't forget that we just released Kaleidoscope, so you can check it out in the link below.